Tzu Chi volunteers host aid distributions to help Houston get a start on their rebuilding efforts. Today we visit Angkor Wat and learn its uniqueness in fueling Cambodia's tourism. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shoda. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program with a series of reports in the United States. Tzu Chi's aid relief for Hurricane Harvey victims continues with an aid distribution in Wharton City, Texas. On September 17th, to accommodate Tzu Chi, the mayor opened up the city's conference hall to help the volunteers host this aid event. In this heavily damaged city, over 45% of the families were affected.
Overwhelmed with what the TZU Foundation is doing for us. I mean, the city was devastated. It's the worst flood we've had in 104 years, possibly 500 years.
Wharton City doesn't normally lend its conference rooms to the public, but today for Tzu Chi, they did.
The city mayor has helped us out and gave us this large and spacious venue to host this distribution.
Before the event begins, Stephen Huang reminds the volunteers to treat the disaster victims with respect and kindness.
Some of their family lost a lot of their properties. So you can be, cheerful to them, smile to them, but please share the same feeling, okay?
Seeing Tzu Chi's empathy towards recipients, local residents' heart and spirits are warmed.
Wonderful. It was wonderful because I really need help. I lost everything.
We're still down hard. We don't know how we're going to get back up. With this help, it's a big, big help for us. A big help.
On the other end of the venue is where the free clinic portion is located.
Many of the patients we saw today suffer from cavities, as they have not been to the dentist in a long time or don't have proper oral health regimes, which leaves them with severe cavities and infections.
In one day's time, the free clinic served 114 patients. This aid distribution ensures not only are the recipients' financial needs looked after, but also their health and emotional needs. Tzu Chi volunteers in the Houston area hosted a second aid distribution in Dickinson, Texas, aiding over 3,000 some people. This large-scale distribution was a great challenge for the volunteers, as the sheer size of the aid relief is something they have not done before. From September 9th and on, Tzu Chi have held a total of 8 relief distributions already in the Houston area. Today is the 9th and it's being held in Dickinson for nearly 3,000 families.
I've only witnessed something like this in Haiti. It was for 2,000 families. Today we had 3,000 some registered, and with the relief concentrated in one day, it's unheard of in the United States.
This is the second hurricane relief distribution in Dickinson, where the first person in line is Dewam Anderson, who has been here since 6 a.m.
Most of the furnishings of my house and the halls and the walls and the walls and floors are a total loss.
This event alone mobilized over 200 people. The cash card, blanket, and instant rice received moved many of the recipients.
This is awesome. Y'all are doing such an awesome job, and it just gives me such a warm feeling.
The mayor of Dickinson's mother is also a hurricane victim. As she is 91 years old and unable to make it to the distribution, the mayor and her daughter came to receive the items on her behalf.
Thank you so much from the city of Dickinson and all of our citizens for what you've done here today. We truly, truly appreciate everything you did.
This is also the first aid distribution which included a free clinic in Houston. In total, 208 patients were seen in one day.
The residents of Dickinson are very orderly and polite. They really show their appreciation for one another.
Though a disaster took place, love and kindness for one another helps alleviate some of the suffering. Staying with our Houston relief efforts, most of the residents who live in Thanh Tam village are from Vietnam, and many do not speak English. Fortunately, some volunteers who speak both Vietnamese and Chinese came to serve as translators. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers also distributed relief supplies at a mobile home park.
Here in their own mother tongue in a foreign country, these hurricane victims who migrated from Vietnam feel warmth in their hearts. This is Thanh Tam village in Houston. As Tzu Chi volunteers are going to hold a relief distribution here, they started to conduct home visitations in the early morning.
Now we're going to help the tenants here, but not their landlords. We'll ask the secretary and village head to help us prove, because they know almost everyone here. This is what we need.
Since over 90% of the residents in this community do not speak English, the volunteers have found more than 10 residents who understand Vietnamese to serve as translators in hopes of accurately grasping the needs of local residents.
Most people here cannot speak English, and I'm trying my best come to here, and we try to connection with some people can come to help. That's why we have about 10 people right now and help together with Tzu Chi.
Even though volunteer Deng Qianhong's house was affected by the disaster, she still takes on a mission to help translate, as she says it's great to help others.
When I help people, I feel very happy. Being able to help a person also means that when we have needs in the future, people will also come to help us.
There's a cash debit card.
Volunteers provide each household with a cash card valued at $600, blankets, instant rice, foods, and beverages. After listening to the story of Tzu Chi's bamboo coin banks, many affected residents are also willing to contribute their share.
I'll give back this bamboo coin bank every month. I hope I can contribute my little efforts with some money to help the less fortunate.
After delivering blankets to the residents with respect, the volunteers also give them hugs. With the love and compassion from Tzu Chi, now these residents no longer feel helpless, as they all have smiles on their faces.
Very much. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Today's help comes from many people. Each one contribute a little bit. It can become great help.
Tzu Chi came here this time. I feel it's a gift. I not only received the cash card from them, but also felt their warmth because I saw Tzu Chi volunteers today. I feel very moved because we lost everything in the flood brought by the hurricane.
I want to give that money back to my school in my country. And when I receive something from the one that helped me, I always think about the way to give it back.
To help, Tzu Chi volunteers in Houston host medical-free clinics for disaster victims. 2 volunteers drove Tzu Chi's DaAi mobile clinic from California to Texas. During the road trip, obstacles came up, but fortunately, the 2 drivers were able to overcome it. Let's take a look.
Tzu Chi's DaAi mobile clinic took off from Southern California, traveling more than 4,000 kilometers and crossing 4 states to reach Houston. In the beginning, the drive was smooth. However, on the second night, something went wrong at the American-Mexican border.
At around 5 o'clock in the evening, there was something wrong with the spark plug.
The sound became very loud, like that of a race car.
We looked for a repairman.
We asked around and people said they could not fix this problem. Then someone told us there is a TA rest station for truck repairs and it is open 24 hours a day.
It was sometime past 9 p.m. when the repairs are done, but the problem was not solved.
We could still drive, but before we went far, the same problem happened again.
We were in the wild and it was really dark. I sped up in order to climb the mountain roads. Then the spark plug broken down.
The mobile clinic spent 2 hours on the dark mountain roads before the drivers found a motel. The next morning, they found help at the gas station across the street.
He came with us to take a look at the van, and then he said he would call his friend for us, since his friend is a mechanic.
Then the mechanic came, but he does not speak English.
He called one of our former nurses in El Monte and asked her to translate for us.
What moves the volunteers the most was the moment they said goodbye.
Then I asked him how much this would cost, and he said it is free.
Upon learning that we are heading to Texas to help with disaster relief, they were willing to help us.
When the drivers reached Houston, it was already 12 o'clock midnight. They're grateful that they were able to receive the needed help and reach Houston, Texas, safely in 3 days.
As Tzu Chi delivers disaster relief to residents affected by Hurricane Harvey, Global Tzu Chi Volunteers Executive Director Stephen Huang had a meeting with the mayor of Houston. As a result of the meeting, the mayor promised to provide Tzu Chi with a list of more disadvantaged disaster victims. Volunteers also visited the Red Cross to discuss how the two organizations can join hands to give support.
The mayor of Houston had a meeting with Global Tzu Chi Volunteers Executive Director for the first time to discuss how to deliver aid to the affected residents of Hurricane Harvey.
One of seniors, okay. One of people with special needs, okay. Okay. The other are low-income individuals, and then the group that is also I'm very sensitive to are children. Children in these low-income families that are needing assistance.
The underprivileged groups on the mayor's mind are also those Tzu Chi wants to reach. Tzu Chi volunteers also seized the occasion to promote vegetarianism.
The global warming has a lot to do with the gas from the animals. So we all vegetarians.
After the 20-minute meeting with the mayor, the volunteers will be able to receive needed information. Then they head to American Red Cross.
The Red Cross is only one of so many organizations that we try to combine our natural skills. Yours would be a good example to reach in some of the Asian communities that we're not typically able to communicate based on language barriers and cultural meal issues and so forth, that we now better understand what they need, so we can make adjustments in our service delivery to make sure we're reaching everybody.
Perhaps we can let the public know that they can register online. If they are disaster victims, they can seek help from Red Cross as well as Tzu Chi. If Red Cross and Tzu Chi can cooperate and double-check the list, we can also deliver aid just like Red Cross.
Tzu Chi volunteers race against time to make sure they reach disaster victims with precision. The colors of Red Cross and Tzu Chi happen to be that of the American flag, and the two are finding ways to give disaster victims much-needed support.
Annually, September is National Preparedness Month in the United States, and the Tzu Chi U.S. headquarters, the local Red Cross, and the LA County Office of Emergency Management gathered in an emergency rescue planning summit. Over 40-some people joined this meeting in hopes to better prepare for a post-disaster relief effort. Hurricane Harvey in August, Hurricane Irma in September, the United States South Atlantic states was hit by 2 Category 4 and above hurricanes in 1 year. This disaster, unseen in hundreds of years, has both the public and private sectors raising their preparedness levels.
So there are many things that you can do to prepare in advance, because if you try to prepare as it's happening, it's too late.
As September is National Preparedness Month in the United States, Tzu Chi U.S. headquarters, the local Red Cross, and the Los Angeles County Office of Emergency Management invited 40-some government officials and religious or social welfare organizations in a meeting about planning for emergency response.
I really enjoyed today's event. I was able to learn some new information, and I was able to get some new partners for potential projects down the road. So looking forward to developing those relationships and getting more folks prepared.
While Tzu Chi volunteers share the current relief aid update in Houston, many organizations also exchange the information and resources they have to help in this effort.
people came up and said it was information that they didn't have and that it would be useful for them when they go back to do their planning. It changed people's thinking a little bit, I think, in some respects, and they understand now that they're part of a bigger network of partnerships.
Working together in a network of partnerships can best help in disaster situations.
Cambodia's ancient capital, Angkor Wat, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In February of this year, the government increased ticket prices dramatically, but that did not stop tourists from visiting. Angkor Wat has always been a major revenue stream for the country. Today, we go back in time to visit the mysteries of this ancient civilization.
At dawn, the sun rises over Angkor Wat. This is not only a World Heritage Site, but an image associated with Cambodia. Each month attracts 250,000 people, bringing in revenue of $12 million. Some 4 kilometers to the north is Angkor, which more than 900 years ago was the capital of the Khmer Empire. Today we are being led by I.M. Sakrathi, who spent 19 years to obtain archaeological qualifications, as he explains the secrets of this mysterious civilization.
On this mural at off the top, the man riding the horse is Angkor King Jayavarman VII.
Angkor's Bayon Temple has 1.2 kilometers of relief stone carvings, with 11,000 characters portrayed. In the 13th century, the first generation of heroes, Jayavarman VII, led the Khmers to war, using elephants to defeat foreign enemies, which is still a thrilling scene thousands of years later. The Khmer Empire continued to grow in the war, the heyday of the border almost dominating the entire Indochina Peninsula. According to research, Angkor's population swelled to 1 million people, covering 10,000 square kilometers. This is the equivalent to the Middle Eastern country of Lebanon, as it was the medieval world's largest city.
At its most powerful period, the capital of Angkor has 6 large hospitals, which every resident could visit regardless of class or economic status, free of charge. Throughout the country, there were 102 hospitals.
In AD 1295, Chinese diplomat Zhou Daguan, under the Emperor Tenzong of Yuan, visited and arrived in Angkor. He would later compile his findings in the book The Customs of Cambodia, which described how they had 4 rice crops a year, how the irrigation system allowed the civilization to thrive.
The Angkor civilization was aided by water reservoirs and facilities that conserve water. The granary was not here during the times. It was to the side of the Mekong River and Tonle Sap River. They used irrigation channels to irrigate a paddy field that stretched up to 10 million hectares, which was 100 times larger than the fields in Angkor City.
Do you remember the 2011 Southeast Asia floods in Cambodia? At that time, there was a number of disaster reports that the right-hand side of this western beret, which is over 900 years old, built by the Khmer people, continues to operate with flood storage and drainage functions. 6 years ago, during the flood, it continued to protect the descendants of this area and minimize their loss of their life and property.
This gate isn't collapsing because of subsidence or natural forces. You can see that the arrangement of these stones are not collapsing naturally, but are impacted by man-made destruction.
The Angkor Empire, at the beginning of the 15th century, was defeated by neighboring Siamese royalty. It is generally believed that in addition to the political and military challenges from neighboring countries, the construction of these major projects for nearly 40 years depleted a large number of human and material resources. Furthermore, excessive development of land affected irrigation facilities and led to the decay of the empire. Will history repeat itself, and how long will it take to recover?
Angkor Wat not only gives descendants and tourists a look back at their ancient civilization and their architecture, but also their monuments. Jayavarman VII spent a lot of the empire's effort to create these structures, and as the environment deteriorated, the empire lost its way, like a virus affecting the area, which quickly eroded the foundation.
Jayavarman's seventh smile still is atop 54 watts looking down on Earth and the ancient Angkor civilization. Visiting these areas isn't just a look at historical sites, but also a window for future generations and future clues to the survival of the human race.
Back in March, Tzu Chi volunteers helped Li Qingqing receive a removal surgery for a tumor on her leg. Knowing Li is recovering well, Tzu Chi volunteers recently accompanied her and her family on an outing.
After undergoing her surgery, Li Qingqing is finally on a sightseeing tour with her family. She beams with excitement and joy. Li, whose left leg was amputated, suffered from a tumor that grew on her amputation wound. Fortunately, with the help of Tzu Chi volunteers, she underwent a surgery to remove the tumor in March.
Before the surgery, she had difficulty walking, but she is better now. The volunteers are like our family. I want to thank them.
After the removal of her 20-kilogram tumor, Li Qingqing now walks with the crutches, looking more confident.
Today, she is able to come out and walk freely. As we see Qingqing with smiles on her face, cheering her family members, we feel very happy.
Li Qingqing, who was once diffident and quiet, is now smiling. In the future, she will be able to embrace a brighter future with the best wishes of the people around her.
To promote having an environmentally friendly mindset for the 7th lunar month, Tzu Chi volunteers from Hsinchu hosted a blessing ceremony at the local Jingsi Hall. Over 1,000 participants warmed to the idea and attended the event. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.